His boots crunched against the dry canyon floor. It was just another Tuesday morning for the utility worker cutting through Silver Pine Gorge in Ridgefield, Colorado. Trees on both sides, no wind, no sound except his own footsteps. Then he stopped. Something was wrong. He pushed past a cluster of low branches and froze. A body, face down on the dirt. Young woman. Her clothes were not scattered around her the way you'd expect. They were folded, stacked neatly, like laundry. And he pulled out his radio with shaking hands. I need someone out here. Silver Pine. There's a woman. She's not moving. He couldn't finish the sentence. Investigators arrived within the hour. What they found made even seasoned detectives go quiet. She had been shot 5 times. No drag marks, no signs of a struggle, no purse, no weapon. And whoever had done this, she had trusted them enough to walk into that canyon herself. At first, our police thought she had chosen to disappear. 1:30 to 3:30, introducing Emily. Her name was Emily Harper, 22 years old, literature major at Crestview Christian College. The kind of girl who underlined passages in books and stayed up until 3 a.m. writing in journals. But at Crestview, Emily didn't quite fit. The campus ran on strict rules, strict beliefs, strict expectations. And Emily had a habit of asking questions nobody wanted answered. Her roommates whispered about her, called her rebellious, said she was spiritually lost. And what they didn't understand, what they refused to understand, was that Emily was just lonely. She had recently started talking to a man named Daniel Cross. Long distance. He told her he understood her, that she didn't have to pretend. She'd also done something that surprised people who knew her. She bought a handgun, a .357 revolver. For protection, she said. But she had one real friend at that school, one person who never judged her. His name was Mark Dalton. They had been close for years. At study sessions, late-night talks, the kind of friendship where you don't have to explain yourself. Emily trusted Mark with things she didn't tell anyone else, and on the last morning of her life, that trust would cost her everything. 3:30 to 5:30. The goodbye letter. The morning Emily vanished, her roommates found a note. It was handwritten, her handwriting. It said, "I'm leaving. I've found people who actually understand me. Don't look for me. I need to do this." She mentioned Daniel, said she was going to him, said she was finally free. The roommates read it and shrugged. Classic Emily, always dramatic, always running towards something. Police arrived, read the note, and made the same assumption. Runaway, possible suicide, a young woman who'd checked out. But one detective stopped and looked at the note again. If she planned to leave, why is her winter coat still here? Her textbooks, her photographs? She had attended every single class that day, and a girl planning to disappear doesn't sit through a 3-hour literature lecture first. And there was something else. Earlier that morning, Mark Dalton had borrowed Emily's car. He returned it before noon, said he just needed to run an errand. That evening, Mark was the one who walked into the police station and reported Emily missing. Calm, worried, cooperative. She left a note in the car, he told them. I found it when I returned it. I'm really scared for her. He handed it over himself. Police thanked him, asked him a few questions. He answered everything. He volunteered information. Nobody looked at him twice.
5:30 to 7:30. Discovery of the body. The next morning, the utility worker found her. Silver Pine Gorge. Nude. Shot 5 times. Clothes folded beside her like she'd set them down herself. The lead detective stood over the scene and said out loud what everyone was already thinking. She knew him. She trusted him. She walked here with him. There was no forced entry, no defensive wounds, no evidence of a chase. She had gone willingly, right up until the moment she couldn't. Ballistics came back, .357 caliber rounds. Emily's registered handgun, the one she bought for protection, was gone. The detective turned to his partner. Her own gun. Her own gun, the partner confirmed. Someone close to her had taken it. Someone who knew she had it. Someone who had enough access to her life to reach into it and pull out the one thing that could kill her. The case had just shifted from a missing person to a murder, and the killer was already walking free. 7:30 to 9. The psychic boyfriend. A pawn shop clerk came forward. He remembered Emily. She'd sold a turquoise pendant the week before she died. And she'd mentioned a boyfriend. Daniel Cross? Said he lived out of state. Said he was different. He told me he could sense things, she'd said. Like, about people. About the future. Police tracked Daniel down. He was unusual. Spoke slowly. Claimed he had psychic insight. Told investigators he'd felt something was wrong with Emily before they even contacted him. He also owned a .357 revolver. They brought him in. And the interrogation room went quiet when detectives laid the evidence on the table. "Where were you?" Daniel leaned back. "I was home. I can prove it." He could. His weapon went to ballistics. The rifling didn't match. His alibi held. Daniel Cross was cleared. The room went cold. The best lead they had just walked out the door. And back in Ridgefield, Mark Dalton was attending Emily's memorial service, hugging her parents, wiping his eyes. "She was my best friend," he told them. "I just want justice for her." Her mother held his hand and cried. 9 o'clock to 11 o'clock. The case goes cold. Months passed, then years. Leads dried up. Witnesses moved away. The detective who first caught the case retired. Emily's parents called the department every few months. Every few months, someone told them there was nothing new. Mark got married, settled down, built a life. He stayed close to Emily's family, showed up for birthdays, for anniversaries of her death. Always quiet, always respectful, always the grieving friend who never quite got over losing her. Inside the evidence locker, sealed in plastic bags, sat the soil samples collected from beneath Emily's body. They held a secret no one could read yet. Not in 1976, not in 1981, not even in 1995. The science didn't exist yet, but it was coming. 11 o'clock to 13 o'clock. 30 years later. The breakthrough. In 2006, a cold case detective named Rivera pulled Emily's file. He'd heard about it from a colleague. A folded pile of clothes, a forged goodbye letter, a killer who was never found. He requested the old evidence. The soil samples were still there. 30 years in storage. Most people assumed they were useless. Rivera sent them to the lab anyway. The first two results came back degraded, contaminated, nothing usable. Then the third sample. The technician called Rivera directly. "We got a partial male DNA profile." Rivera sat up straight. From the soil? From beneath where her body was lying. Whoever stood over her, whatever transferred from them to that ground, it survived. The profile entered the national database. Rivera stared at his screen. Hit search. One match. His eyes moved across the name. Mark Dalton. He read it again. Mark Dalton, the best friend, the man who found the letter, the man who reported her missing, the man who had been comforting her parents for 30 years. Rivera picked up the phone with a steady hand. "We need to bring someone in." 1300 to 1430. The confession. Mark Dalton was 58 years old when detectives knocked on his door. He answered it smiling. Calm, offered them coffee. "Of course," he said. "Whatever I can do. Emily deserved justice. I always said that." The interrogation started slowly. Rivera laid the DNA results on the table. Mark looked at them without flinching. "That's impossible," he said. "It's your profile, Mark. It's a match. I was near the scene, after, when we were searching for her. That's how it got there." "You were at the scene before she was reported missing," Rivera said quietly. "Before anyone was searching." The room went very still. Something shifted in Mark's face. Not fear exactly. More like exhaustion. 30 years of carrying something finally getting too heavy. He put his hands flat on the table. "She said no," he said. His voice was almost a whisper. I told her how I felt. I'd felt that way for years. And she looked at me and said no. Like it was nothing. Like I was nothing. He had taken her gun days earlier. She never noticed. She trusted him that completely. He drove her to Silver Pine Gorge that morning, before he returned her car, before he walked into the police station with the letter in his hand. He told her he just wanted to talk. She believed him. Yeah, I made her get out of the car, he said. I had the gun. I told her to take off her clothes. I don't even know why. I just needed... He stopped. She was begging me, he said. She kept saying my name. Mark, please, we're friends. He shot her 5 times. He folded her clothes. He drove her car back to the apartments. He placed the letter he had made her write or written himself to mimic her, inside the car. He walked to the police station.
I sat with her parents at the funeral, Rivera said. Mark nodded slowly. Yeah. You held her mother's hand. Yeah. Rivera stood up and walked around the table. Mark Dalton, you are under arrest for the murder of Emily Harper. For the first time in 30 years, Mark Dalton looked like what he was. 1430 to 1500 hours. Closing reflection. Emily Harper was 22 years old. She wasn't running away. She wasn't lost. She wasn't spiritually broken or confused or reckless. She was a young woman who trusted the wrong person. The person who was supposed to be safe. The folded clothes weren't a ritual. They were control. A killer's need to make chaos look like order. The goodbye letter wasn't her voice. It was his. A tool, written in her hand, designed to make the people who loved her look away. For 30 years, it worked. But the earth beneath Silver Pine Gorge remembered. The soil held what no one else could hold. The patience of evidence. The quiet permanence of the truth. Justice doesn't always arrive on time. But sometimes, it arrives anyway. He thought the canyon would bury the truth. But the earth beneath her body never forgot. #pushpin end card, CTA. If this story hit you the way it hit me, hit that like button. It genuinely helps more people find stories like Emily's. Stories that deserve to be told. Subscribe. If you're new, I cover true crime cases where the details matter and the victims are never forgotten. And drop a comment below. What part of this case stayed with you? For me, it was the moment her mother held his hand at the memorial, and he let her. See you in the next one.